Dan saya pula tak pandai politik. Saya ni cuma
Soalan pertama saya adalah apakah kronologi kerjaya Datuk? Pasal Datuk jadi pengurusi finans daripada 2014 ke 2016 dan FIMI started in 2013, i.e. Marco Polo Netflix was the first FIMI project. Tapi Datuk ada touch earlier tadi tentang Movie Village Cyberjaya dan juga Pinewood Iskandar. Kalau Datuk boleh explain, because those were around 1999, way before FIMI lah. If you can explain the chronology of your career.
Okay, boleh. Saya actually lepas graduation saja in accountancy, saya terus masuk Shell Malaysia Trading di KL. Lepas tu, that was 1982. Then 84 saya transfer ke Shell Refinery di Port Dickson. So that's why masa Zaf cakap tadi dia orang PD, saya kata Dan pun kenal juga orang PD ni. Except that I'm from Taiping lah. My kampung is Taiping. So I was in Shell for 19 years. Sampai tahun 99. Dan after 1999, saya dapati ada satu company baru dah diwujudkan, nama MDEC, Multimedia Development Corporation. Dan dalam MDEC tu ada satu strategi untuk kreatif multimedia. Saya ni sungguh pun kerja kat Shell pun, tapi memang saya minat filem. Memang minat filem daripada tu lah, yang kena rotan dulu masa kecil punya pun sebab filem punya pasal lah. Pergi panggoyang tak payah, tak bagi tahu parents kan. So saya memang nak suka filem. So bila saya masuk MDEC, masa tu tujuan dia nak create this new sector yang dinamakan creative multimedia, tapi sebenarnya it is animation and visual effects technology. Itu dia the main reason. And then 99 to 2000, E-Village was announced. E-Village ni pun ada cerita dia. Saya rasa kalau saya tak lupa, the reason why E-Village tu dapat green light is because pada masa tu dekat England ada satu studio nama Leavesden. Di situ Star Wars The Phantom Menace was being shot. So tak macam mana ke orang dapat tahu, ini Leavesden Studio in London doing Phantom Menace and the owner are Malaysian. So itulah. The owner of the studios, Leavesden Studios, masa tu was Malaysian. So the idea within MSC itu kena ada satu perkumpulan cluster lah untuk filem, TV. Tapi kita bukan just untuk filem. Kita masa tu was handling creative content. Jadi maknanya termasuk games, interactive comics, e-books dan sebagainya. Dan of course the animation punya industri. Dan 2001, 2002 E-Village was formed. Tapi E-Village fail. Dia gagal sebagai projek untuk perumahan untuk jadi catalyst untuk filem industri. Jadi lepas tu gagal, kita fokus on animation. Dan di situlah Upin dan Ipin dilahirkan. Dan juga lepas Upin dan Ipin, the very same people yang masuk Upin dan Ipin dulu semua daripada Multimedia University, dan mereka sekarang pun dah buat Bobo Boy, Agent Ali. Jadi kalau saya boleh fokus sejarah modern Malaysian animation lah. Animation dah ada pada dulu lagi dah. Sang Kancil, Filem Negara semua. Tapi the modern technology base punya Malaysian animation industry, dia punya beginning dia was in 2002, 3 and 4. Bila kita start to look into this animation technology. So lepas tengok animation technology, we go to visual effects technology. Ini yang special effects, 3D animation. Masa tu 3D masih lagi baru. Then kita go into what is known as interactive comics, supaya yalah kita ambil the same material tapi interactive books yang boleh tekan ni gambar ni keluar lah apa benda semua. And then the early beginning of apps. So that was what was happening dekat MDEC sampai tahun 2014. Lepas tu 2014 saya ditanya kalau kita dah boleh bangunkan animation industry, boleh tak saya bangunkan industri filem? Saya pun masa tu jadi hero tak check betul-betul. So terima sajalah pergi ke Finas. Tengok Finas ni dia punya politik lagi kuat lagi dari dia punya dari dia punya apa tu sasaran dia, dari dia punya objektif dia. Dan saya pula tak pandai politik. Saya ni cuma film buff aja macam you Nick, macam you Zaf. Saya film buff aja. Maknanya saya kalau Pedro Almodovar datang, I happy lagi. Boleh cerita-cerita sikit. Kalau pergi Los Angeles ke mana-mana ke, kalau dapat jumpa siapa tu, anak director yang dah mati pun tak apa. You know. So memang itu tu kesukaan saya. Jadi saya tak fokus on the politics. Politik dia panjang cerita jugalah, tapi pendek kata, maksud saya bukan sangatlah politik. Saya rasa macam Finas tu macam operasi dia macam jabatan kerajaan sangat. Jadi banyak dia punya rules. Saya faham lah, ini bukan komplain. Saya faham. Cuma saya dekat MDEC dah 14 tahun. MDEC ni ada kebebasan sikit. MDEC ni macam GLC. Sebab tu kita boleh bangunkan animation semua dengan justify semua. Jadi dekat Finas bila saya cuba nak buat yang sama, saya dapati bahawa ada banyak dia punya apa tu, proses-proses dia lah. So that's how I ended up in Finas. So Shell dulu, dan MDEC, lepas tu Finas. Lepas tu pension. Lepas pension, dengan COVID ni tengok wayang je lah. Tapi kerja sikit-sikit je lah sebab kita pun masih lagi nak kena bayar Spotify, nak kena bayar Netflix. Dan baru-baru ni movie pun I subscribe. So itulah. Tapi kegemarannya filmnya. Why film is important to me? I think siapa tu Nick dengan Zaf, you probably agree. Sebab kita dah 30 tahun. I mean, Finas dah 30 tahun and kita masih lagi ingat time P. Ramlee. Tapi kita forget masa time P. Ramlee dulu. That was controlled by Shaw Brothers dengan Cathay. It was a business. Because it was a business, dia punya business model tu lain. So when we duplicate dekat sini sekarang ni, kita dah kehilangan dia punya economic punya part tu. And once when it becomes too cultural related, itu yang jadi insular tu. Sebab culture kita buat untuk kepuasan diri kita sendiri saja. Padahal we should be spending our culture outside Malaysia. Tengok cerita P. Ramlee dulu. Saya kalau observe, saya ni bukanlah expert sangat on P. Ramlee, tapi kalau saya tengok dia punya filem, certain filem tu dia reflect apa dia yang pop culture masa tu. Kalau masa tu dancing, mambo or twist, ada dalam situ. Kalau masa time tu ada apa tu macam jazz punya band, saxophone, itu pun ada dalam filem dia. Jadi it's always like that. Tapi it is still a Malay film. Ini yang bila ada kita berbincang how influential apa, macam Kurosawa juga. Dia buat Seven Samurai, that one is Japanese. Tapi Magnificent Seven ambil jadi Western. Apa beza dia baru-baru ni? The Ring is Japanese. Tapi ada remake di US juga. Shutter Thai punya Shutter is anytime better than Shutter US punya. So tengok macam mana the world is moving. So I'm also hoping for one day Malaysian film pun dia orang ambil sebagai satu contoh. But first kita kena get our act together lah basically. And then licensing and merchandising. Saya masih ingat dekat MDEC dulu, Upin and Ipin. Licensing and merchandising tu becomes very important because we learn from the South Korea. South Korea kata television tu hanya your advertising saja. Your advertising of your character. Dah dapat 20 juta eyeballs. Lepas tu licensing and merchandising lah yang akan bawa ni masuk. So it's a business. So bila saya tengok bila kita tak nampak industri kita ni sebagai economic lah, saya rasa macam kita ni macam shock sendiri jugalah in a way. Why? Because talent dah ada kat sini. Dia tengok macam performance kan. Okay, macam saya punya favorite actor kat sini, Faizal Hussein. Until saya tengok Bunuhan, saya tak nampak dia punya talent dia, bagaimana talent itu. And then you realize, that's because director dia, Din Said, tahu macam mana nak tarik watak tu. Now, why wasn't he good in other films? Because maybe tak ada motivation untuk nak absorb the character, ataupun director tu kata, kita ni kena siap cepat-cepat ni sebab Hari Raya Haji minggu depan. We still have that problem here. But then in the hands of a good director, you tengok, macam Yasmin tu banyak orang kata pada Yasmin. Padahal I know a lot of independent filmmaker, banyak yang story macam Yasmin. Tapi cuma dia orang belum lagi dapat acknowledgement. So, first question.
Okay, yeah, that was very exhaustive but good. Masa tahun 2003 tu saya baru graduate daripada Edinburgh. Masa yalah MDEC baru nak bermula. So my main question, ada ura-ura because I was born in the 80s, so masa tu saya baru 20-an. Ada ura-ura that Cyberjaya E-Village lost out to Warner Bros in Sydney ataupun Gold Coast. Adakah betul
Fox. Yes, Warner dekat Gold Coast, yes.
So is that the reality of it for E-Village?
The reality for the E-Village was that the business model was wrong. Dekat Brisbane, Gold Coast semua tu, it was all done under the scheme of studio. Okay. Masa E-Village was launched, the whole idea was to turn it into a creative village, a creative zone. Tapi yang itu kena ada feeder dia, kena ada dia punya connection. You tak boleh buat lah macam example. You tak boleh buka studio saja expecting people to come. Ada correlation dia, buka studio kena ada tu. So you see dekat MSc dulu memang dah ada plan macam tu. MMU was supposed to be the skill feeder. They were supposed to supply the skill. Lim Kok Wing University also is supposed to supply the skills. And then nearby you would find dekat University Tenaga dekat Bangi tu. See, it's all within that area. So the feeder dah memang planned out. But what didn't happen, this is my view, takut sensitive. E-Village didn't take off because finally it became a land development punya play. Diorang tak ambil orang-orang yang tahu betul-betul pasal industri ni to run the place. And this is a very common problem here. It's a property play at the end of the day. It's all about tanah lah, issue. Padahal we are looking at the bigger picture. So yes, we lost out because Brisbane semua. You see, okay, boleh saya panjangkan sikit. Ini pasal Brisbane ya. Brisbane, the Gold Coast, bila Warner bila studio Fox Studio semua datang dekat Sydney semua, you look at their incentives. Every state in Australia is fighting giving incentive. Kebanyakan datang dekat Gold Coast because Gold Coast dah ada studio semua. In fact ada one film called Babe, if you remember, Babe, yang pasal Hinze tu, the animatronics, all that was all from the Gold Coast. The government put in the money because it was part of a smart state punya agenda. They call Queensland the smart state. So satu sektor daripada smart state tu is a smart creative industry. And then dia orang ada satu film commission di situ called Pacific Film and TV Commission. Kerja dia orang bagi luar negara tarik foreign production masuk dalam. And meanwhile, the education punya sektor dalam Queensland duk busy skilling up dia orang punya talent. Dia orang punya everything from stuntman to visual effects to gaffer to best boy to lighting man. You see, semua ni ada dia punya connection dia. Dekat Malaysia, it didn't happen that way. E-Village was seen in isolation. And I can even boleh mengaku sekarang, masa E-Village was set up, even Finas pun tak bagi kerjasama masa tu. Sebab kita bawah kementerian lain. MDEC was under a different ministry. That's why sekarang Finas, MDEC semua bawah satu kementerian. Dia punya penceritaan dia tu, dia asal dia datang pada time dulu tu, masa time E-Village semua tu. Sebab MDEC masa tu bawah Science and Technology. Finas was under Kementerian Kebudayaan dan apa-apa benda tu lah. So lain. So bila ada lain dah jadi macam, oh itu tu you punya, ini I punya. That was the other reason for the failure of e-village. Saya ingat lagi. Sebab masa tu saya belum masuk Finas lagi. Tapi saya banyak nampak benda ni. So that's why satu daripada objektif bila saya masuk Finas 10 years later is to try to repair balik, bawa teknologi digital masuk balik dalam Finas. Tapi saya ingat itu pun sekarang ni, saya ingat the present management is moving towards that lah. Apa kita panggil integrasi, ataupun pendek kata macam ni lah, filem bukan hanya filem real, dia digital. Dan bila menonton bukan saja di pawagam, dia dekat your iPad lah, your screen, apa bendanya. So that is what the current management is focusing on lah. Tapi kita dulu dah nampak, and e-village was supposed to be that. Kita tengok masa e-village punya launching tu, Jackie Chan was there. Jackie Chan was supposed to represent the film side. Steve Jobs, yang finally last minute tak boleh datang tu, was supposed to represent the technology side. So can you imagine at that time, if Jackie Chan dengan Steve Jobs sekali datang, dan kita nampak e-village tu sebagai apa? The integration between creativity dengan technology. So that's the reason why lah, among other things lah.
Well, sebagai seorang film fan, memang saya agak cemburu lah bila tengok Gold Coast dah dapat produce Superman Returns, The Matrix trilogy, because we lost out on the e-village.
Matrix.
Dan juga sekarang 20 years later, after, persoalannya, what happened to Pinewood? Iskandar, JB. Because it started well dengan 2014, Marco Polo, Netflix project. They have the biggest underwater punya studio to film underwater scenes. So what happened to Pinewood? Kalau Datuk boleh explain?
Saya dengan Pinewood ni, okeylah saya boleh cakap apa yang saya tahu adalah kan. In detail saya tak tahu sebab ada difference you know kan. Yang Pinewood ni is under Khazanah Nasional. Finas is Finas. So bila kita cakap pasal FIMI ni pun ada two types of FIMI. Satu FIMI ni Finas punya FIMI, lagi satu is Iskandar punya FIMI. Iskandar punya FIMI ni is really meant to attract people to come to the studio. That was the main intention in the beginning. That's why they are handling it separately. Finas punya is more like generic. Nak shooting dekat mana Terengganu ke, Sabah ke, Sarawak, that's Finas. Now, as far as we are concerned, I think in terms of the transfer of technology dekat Pinewood tu, I think it took place. But I noticed, this is just my personal observation, at the same time when Pinewood Iskandar was set up, Singapore pun set up dia orang punya Lucas Lucas Studios. Dan guess the majority of the staff of Lucas Studios came from where? From Malaysia. Why? Because this is about sustainability. How long can you keep the people here one job? You tengok macam dekat Rhythm and Hughes, dekat Cyberjaya. Just one project. And then after that, you know very well that local productions cannot hire them because expensive kan? So Lucas was set up in Singapore at around the same time also. I think 2008, 7, 8 macam itulah. Why did Singapore do that? Because they know that they want to become hub media polis. Kan Cik Zaf kan? Dia macam e-village tadi lah. Kita cakap e-village. Dia orang dah thinking about what they call media polis. Di situlah National Geographic ada, di situlah tak tahu lah, CNN lah, semua situlah. Discovery Channel, Disney, semua kat situ. Yeah. That was what e-village was supposed to be. And I know this sebab I still have the master plan. So whenever bila I tengok balik and find out why it didn't happen, then I could only blame a few things lah. One is decision making kita ni kadang-kadang is not made by people who understand the economics of this industry. Malangnya lah. I mean now ada pension, I boleh cakap lah kan. Yeah? The economics is important because kalau you nak world class football team, soccer team Malaysia, you kena bawa an ex, apa tu, macam people yang bukan saja ex-player. Ex-player tu one thing, but you must also have a strategic punya positioning. Somebody yang suka soccer lagi bagus kan, macam tu. Tapi kadang-kadang kita ni nak buat punya soccer, kita bawa yang sepak takraw punya expert pula. So itu yang kadang-kadang yang lain pula jadi benda tu. But that's just my view lah. But having said that, I think on the whole, the reason why banyak yang tak jadi macam E-Village ni is because kita masih lagi nampak ni sebagai hiburan and not an entertainment. If you refer Australia tadi, kan Zaf kan macam Nick cakap pasal Australia tadi. That was part of a state level punya strategy. Smart state, smart sekolah. You tengok QUT, Queensland University of Technology. Masa tu dah ada dah Creative Industries Precinct. Bukan the same model as MMU. I mean, it's all there. But once when they do that, diorang tahu that feeder is for the Gold Coast punya studios, Gold Coast punya theme parks, and then theme parks. Theme parks is another spin-off daripada siapa yang pandai buat VR, for instance. You can work in a theme park, design new rides ke, and then the importance of licensing and merchandising. Kebanyakan theme park use a licensed item from a movie. So Raiders of Lost Ark, then you have the ride. Kalau you dah pergi Jurassic Park ride in the ni. So ada kena-mena. The only person who understands this here in Malaysia is Upin and Ipin. That's why the theme park is now ready, memang timely pun. Sebab orang dah tahu Upin and Ipin. That's what branding is all about. That's what I meant by business. Culture punya part is also there. Memang betul lah Upin and Ipin tu nampak macam siapa? Nampak budak-budak Melayu itu. Ataupun Malaysians lah. They cannot look like Europeans or like Cambodian ke apa. So culture is already there. But that culture now you tambah dengan business part. Because sekarang Indonesia pun it's up to them. This is where the business. I mean, kadang-kadang tu orang pun pening kepala juga bila I cakap pasal the economic side. But the reason is COVID ni has already proven because we haven't looked at it economically. That's why banyak kita punya community, our friends, our artists, yang apa semua yang tak ada job. All waiting for the traditional RTM punya jobs lah, waiting for the traditional Astro lah apa semua. Padahal if this industry had built up daripada FIMI semua ni dulu, we all have jobs because you don't have to work only for RTM. For all you know, Disney Channel kan, Disney TV will come, dah. Netflix sekarang ni tengah buat macam-macam projects. So sedikit sebanyak lah.
So untuk penonton di rumah yang tak tahu, Pinewood kolabo dengan Malaysia, Iskandar tu baru saja berakhir tahun lepas.
Right.
Dan the first thing yang diorang buat bila diorang balik ke UK ialah bina studio baru di UK kerana menampung kerja banyak daripada Streaming Wars ni. Jadi pada itu satu loss lah kepada Malaysia, kepada Pinewood Iskandar yang dah ada studio selama 5 tahun.
Itulah kebetulannya pula yang Pinewood tu is actually a franchise. Actually what happened was kita beli saja nama Pinewood. And then Pinewood was supposed to, ini just my personal observation lah. Pinewood tu ada kerja yang dah terlebih dekat UK, Toronto, will pass over to Malaysia. Tapi for the few years that they were there, saya tak nampak pun that kind of work coming in. So I pun wonder jugalah. Tapi I think there could be reasons lah kan. But Pinewood lepas dia keluar pun dah jadi Iskandar Malaysia Studios. Tapi sekarang the occupancy rate is very high because China pula came and took over. Because China bila buat TV series sampai 52, dia bukan buat one season aja, dia buat 3 season one shot. So that's why I think okay, but whether it will come back to England, US money, maybe. But come to think of it, with the new technology in filmmaking sebenarnya macam Mandalorian. Bukan Mandalorian pakai the 360 punya yang virtual. Yeah. Kan? Dia tak pakai green screen lagi dah. Dia pakai yang 360 degree. So adakah ini the future of cinema? And Malaysia can take advantage, which is somebody here with a 360 punya camera can shoot the whole of Kinabalu, Mount Kinabalu punya area, and later jual tu kat Hollywood yang nak buat filem pasal orang naik Mount Kinabalu. I mean, the business prospects are always there, especially sekarang dengan COVID ni. How long before COVID betul-betul habis and will allow people to shoot again? Maybe what? Okay. Kita harap lower lah, tapi that's the reality kan. Right? So Zah, macam ni, this is how the new business can take place. Because Mandalorian pun bukannya shooting kata-kata kat mana. Dia punya tunjuk dekat dia punya apa, di Grand Canyon pun bukannya dia orang pergi situ. Somebody else did a shooting and dia bawa balik ke studio. Sekarang ni Unreal punya game engine dah digunakan sebagai film set punya background pula. So with technology merging, what we did with Mandalorian is a door opener. Nanti besok banyak lagi Malaysian punya companies yang pandai buat this 360 punya seamless cut lah benda semua will have a job. And the only way to do that is if we keep on telling, orang cakap small money go out, untuk dia orang save small amount of money. But to us, can you imagine? That extra money is spent here, but if we know how to create our internship and our apprenticeship, that is our next step. If I ever want to advise Finas now, is on that. Mentorship, internship, then you will see what happened. Because this industry, like I said earlier, is about how many projects you have worked. Ni PlayStation lah, Sony nak datang sini lah, apa semua, right. This is where the convergence that take place. The same 3D animator yang kita train dulu boleh digunakan untuk Sony PlayStation. Yang sama yang buat virtual reality or motion graphic dia boleh pakai untuk multiple industry now. So basically, itulah. Ini kalau membosan jugalah. Macam cakap dekat lecture hall sampai budak-budak semua tidur semua kan. Tapi sebenarnya this is the reason. It's not about nak kata buang duit. So anybody yang cakap kenapa Malaysian film tak dapat benefit tax macam tu? Well, the thing is that Malaysia film pun ada dia punya minimum limitnya. Okay, let's take a film 1.5 million. That's local film. Kebanyakan Malaysian film that is the amount. Dulu 2.5. But orang dah buat turun dah 1.5. So maknanya any producer right now who makes a Malaysian local movie, as long as the budget is 1.5 million and above, dia boleh apply for FIMI. Right? And then if they want to do post-production pula, as long as the post-production is 500,000 and above, dah boleh. So maknanya banyak company-company lah, tapi kita punya plan is not to bagi monopoly. It must be spread out. That's why yang company-company yang kecil ni pun patut have a business development manager ke apa yang kerja ni orang, so that they can go and look up. Because one thing I noticed, macam kita ni lah, kreatif sangat, kadang-kadang business tak tahu sangat. Don't forget, Upin dan Ipin is successful because the business part is handled by a very able businessman. Haji Borhan tu bukannya tahu draw pun. Kalau dia dengar, dia mesti dia punya kepala sikit. Haji Borhan kan tahu draw pun. But he's a good businessman. Dia boleh rapkan dia punya tu, negotiation semua. Kita sini sekarang, yang kita lah creator, kita lah yang jadi business developer, kita lah kena bagi menyembah investor, kita lah yang kena bagi PowerPoint slide, habis creativity pun hilang. So you must have that distinction. So itulah sedikit banyaknya pasal FIMI ni. FIMI ni actually is a good thing, if you ask me, if it is used right. Now, mungkin ada orang tanya, adakah FIMI ni boleh dimanipulasikan? The idea is, memang masa awal-awal dulu ada kemungkinan. Tapi sekarang because of the auditing, dah ketat. So, it has to be audited first betul-betul. Bila saya cakap manipulasi itu, maknanya ada ruang. Saya tak nak bagi tahu siapa lah. Tapi ada juga foreigners yang datang sini nak ambil kesempatan. Tapi the auditing process sekarang ni dah make sure. You betul-betul belanja 10 juta, so ni we are talking about Price Waterhouse semua ni lah. Dia orang nanti vet. Dan dia orang kata, ada juga filem yang kata dia orang belanja 10 juta, dia tengok audit 8 juta. So 8 juta je lah. So it's 30% of 8 juta. Pernah berlaku. Yang kena reject outright pun ada. Yeah, because they make the film and then suddenly, example, they declare tak betul. Katalah dia kata kamera tu dia bawa import daripada mana ke apa, padahal kamera tu dia bawa ke tempat lain. Something like that.
Soalan terakhir, 20 tahun selepas Cyberjaya E-Village, 5 tahun selepas Pinewood Iskandar, we are now on the verge of the next decade, 2021 onwards. So dengan insentif ini and wishlist lah, where would you want Malaysia to go 20 years from now? Maybe would we have our own E-Village? How do we become competitive versus Lisbon, Vancouver, Toronto, Sydney and Wellington?
Okay, in 20 years time, saya ingat Malaysia ni can still make use of its natural location sebagai kita cakap Malaysia truly Asia melting pot. Malaysia ni has location that can become for any country in the equatorial belt. Jadi maknanya kita boleh create ourselves to be the preferred location untuk any film yang require orang kata equatorial kan, rainforest dan sebagainya. Tetapi bila dia orang datang sini, jangan biarkan shooting saja. Kita punya manpower must be ready up to a point. And like I said tadi, kita sekarang ni bukan nak build studio saja. Because sekarang ni we can consider the whole of Malaysia is also a studio. The whole of Sabah is a studio. Kalau siapa yang dari Sabah nak buat documentary ke apa, that's your natural studio. Yang kekurangan tu is the right policies and the way skills are created. Because sekarang ni saya tengok banyak yang ada skills yang kita tak guna pakai. Why? Because we are expecting only for the local industry to pick them up. Kan? Umpamanya macam ni lah. Macam, if you take macam writers kan. I mean, you are a writer, Zaf, you pun write kan. Right? Katalah kalau kita, you are masih dekat Edinburgh. You could be writing for the New Musical Express. Right? Tapi kat Malaysia ni, you can write anything lah about rock and roll. Hari tu Sean Connery meninggal. You nak tulis lah artikel why Sean Connery means so much to you. Siapa yang nak publish? Except for online. Dan kalau you publish online pun berapa orang, sikit yang nak baca. You see, you don't become expert. You are not allowed to become expert in that way tau. In pop culture, in whatever. Macam Zah kan, I tengok your back tu, you punya hobi komik tu, video tapes, belambak semua tu kan. Ratus kan. Okay. Where is film, where are we dengan film? Film criticism for instance. Itu pun ada yang sensitif. Oh, tak boleh cakap ni, tak boleh cakap tu. Apa susahnya? I buat film, I ready je. Cakap 50% will like it, 50% will hate it. Habis cerita. I buat music. Tengok macam music. To what extent that we can bawa music Malaysia to a higher level. Saya ingat lagi, dulu saya, okeylah ni saya mengaku lah ni kan, saya ada radio show dulu dekat THR. It's called the Alternative Rock Show. Sebenarnya I buat rock show tu sebab I complain dekat orang, dekat boss THR. I kata apalah you all punya rocker ni main rock music tak ada soul. Maknanya you putarkan saja CD tu without knowing apa benda you main. So dia kata hang terror, hang buat lah. So I kata okay. I bawa satu stack CD, bagi sana I hantam AC/DC, I cerita pasal AC/DC. Bila masa tema tu punk, I main Sex Pistol, I cerita punk tu apa dia punya punca dia tu. Bila main grunge rock, I beritahu, dia orang ni masa kecil mesti dengar Iron Maiden. jadi penceritaan. But like I said, I survive beberapa tahun aja. Lepas tu nobody cares itu semua. Padahal benda macam ni, saya duk harap I can pass it on to the next person. Jadi Malaysia ni as a whole would become Edinburgh Film Festival. Dia tengok. Can we achieve like that? When we talk about Edinburgh, ni saudara Nick kita dekat Edinburgh dulu. Edinburgh is a hotbed for Scottish nationalism kan. But at the same time, it is also arts festival, film festival, all that. And then bila people pergi tengok situ, bukannya apa, it becomes an event every year. An event. Every year they don't look forward. Kita punya FFM, depending on bila menteri free. Menteri free, baru masa tu lah jadi. Padahal dari dulu lagi saya bagi tahu, start kalau Disember 11-11 lah, 12 pun tak apalah, tapi Disember. Ni tak ada. Sibuk nak tengok bila menteri free. Saya kata tak boleh. Memang kita patut hormat menteri, tapi at the same time, festival kalau nak letakkan di prasada dunia ni, tak boleh ada kan, tak boleh ada macam sekejap Jun, sekejap Julai, sekejap Ogos. Itu saja. Tapi banyak yang salah faham lah, sebab tu lepas 2 tahun lebih aja dia orang dah tak nak sambung kontrak saya kat Finas. Tapi tak apalah, puas juga hati cerita macam tu. So Malaysia macam tu. 20 years time macam ni. Example. Mandalorian ataupun Mandalorian Part 2, tak apa dia punya sequence dia. Oh, nak buat just one portion je. Because you see, kita tak payah buat semua portion. Macam yang Finas bagi tu pun, it's only a segment kan. It's a segment of Mandalorian. So kita punya business is kita ambil sana, kita ambil sikit. Next Transformers nak buat, kita ambil 5 minit. 5 minit tu Optimus Prime panjat kerabat apa atas apa benda ke apa, itu Malaysia boleh buat. Kita specialize in certain things. Macam tsunami ke nak buat, you know, kita specialize. Because that is what the reality of the industry today. Hollywood do hantar, tengoklah filem Avengers pun, kalau you tunggu sampai habis tu, tengok dia punya scroll credits tu, dia orang Korean, India, double negative lah, prime focus, semua ada situ. So that is the business. But meanwhile, orang yang terlibat dalam ni semua, kita harap suddenly dapat idea baru dia, yang you dah kenal orang dekat India ke dekat Hollywood, di situlah you buat network and then you start something new. And it's not impossible. Sebab sekarang ni dia orang tidur, kita boleh buat kerja. Dan dia orang bangun, kita dapat punya work. So Malaysia 2050 is the most preferred special visual effects hub and the most preferred location in the world untuk buat filem-filem yang supposedly dekat Costa Rica kan, sapu je lah, beli apa, bagi tahu kat Hollywood, buat apa pergi Colombia, sini punya sini nasi lemak sini lagi sedap. Dia orang belum taste lagi durian kita lagi, masalah. Okay, so saya harap sikit sebanyak tu kita dah boleh buat penjelasan sikit lah. Dan kalau siapa yang nak tengok Mandalorian dan nampak play Finas tu, please tengok yang cerita-cerita lain tu. Marco Polo pun tengok. Semua tu ada kat Netflix. Tunggulah sampai habis. Crazy Rich Asians pun on Netflix right now. Tunggu sampai habis. You will see Finas there also. You will see Fimi there. So ini bukan perkara baru. Dan kita bukan bagi duit for free. Ini ni macam orang cakap, duit kecil keluar supaya a bigger pie akan kita dapat. Kita akan rasa di sini.
Alright, okay, terima kasih Datuk Kamil sebab banyak gila bagi info dekat dalam podcast ni. It's been an hour and a half. Memang banyak gila info tu. Dah sejam setengah kita buat ni. So jutaan terima kasih kepada Datuk Kamil sebab sudi ditemu ramah untuk session Mulut Puaka hari ni, dan juga Nick Nazrul Iskandar sebab dapat join perbualan dengan Datuk. So Zaf sebenarnya memang tak sabar lagi nak ada lagi diskusi dengan Datuk Kamil tentang industri filem tempatan ni. InsyaAllah nanti kalau kita ada peluang dapat berjumpa berdepan, so banyak lagi lah kita boleh bercerita kan pasal benda ni kan. So itu sahaja untuk Mulut Puaka session hari ni. Thank you very much for watching. Kalau you guys The Mandalorian, okay, season 2 episode 1 minggu lepas, korang dapat lihat logo Finas dekat pada penghujung episod tersebut. So apa pandangan you guys tentang usaha Finas dengan inisiatif Fimi ni? So korang boleh tinggalkan komen kat bawah. Jangan lupa untuk like, share dan juga subscribe channel Pure Pixels. Dan itu saja untuk hari ni. Thank you very much. Jumpa lagi pada Zafrul yang akan datang. Thank you Datuk Kamil. Thank you Nick.
Okay, thank you Zaf, Nick. Kita jumpa lagi.